Hello guys and welcome back to another Premier League predictions video. It's the penultimate episode of the season as we reach game week 37 and we've got 13 fixtures to go through today, so we're going to dive straight in with game one. Early kickoff on Saturday, which is Fulham against Manchester City, and of course I've gone for Man City to win. They never lose at this stage of the season. It's just trying to get the correct scores at this stage, and I've gone for them to win by 3-0. As always, we've got quite a few games on Saturday. A couple of these are dead rubbers, so we'll go through them quite quickly. Kicking off with Bournemouth against Brentford, I've gone for the Cherries to win by 2-1. And neither side really has too much to play for, but Bournemouth have been significantly better at home this year, and Brentford, as we know, are already safe. Another game with little significance sees Everton hosting already relegated Sheffield United. Again, Everton already safe and they've been on fantastic form recently, so I've gone for them to win by 2-0. Europe chasing Newcastle host Brighton in Game 4 as they look to cement a place in Europe for next season heading into the final couple of fixtures. They're very, very strong at home and Brighton's away form has been very poor recently, so I've gone for them to win by 4-1. A big game for Burnley in Game 5 as they travel to London to take on Tottenham, still trying to get out of that relegation battle. Tottenham have been on a pretty poor run of form, but I have gone for them to return to winning ways here against Burnley, who are in the bottom 3 by a 1-0. Another side fighting to stay in the division, Luton Town, who again have been on a pretty poor run of form, but are trying to put a run together at the end of the season. Got a 1-1 draw against Everton in the previous match day, and with West Ham not really having anything to play for, I've gone for the same scoreline here of 1-1. West Ham don't really lose a lot at home, despite seeming like they're sort of on the beach. They know that Moyes is going to be departing. There's probably going to be quite a big change at the club in the summer. I've not gone for them to lose, but I do think Luton will get something out of the game. Another sort of mid-table clash between Wolves and Crystal Palace at Molineux. Crystal Palace have been fantastic since Glasner went in, and the front three of Mateta, Elise and Eze have been fantastic. Wolves have slumped a little bit over recent weeks, so despite having a pretty good form at home this season, I've gone for Crystal Palace to continue their winning streak with a 2-1 win. Then the late game on Saturday sees Nottingham Forest hosting Chelsea. Big game for both clubs, of course. Forest are the team above Burnley and Luton at the moment, and with them both playing at 3 o'clock, they could be in the bottom 3 by kickoff on Saturday evening. Forest hosting a Chelsea side who have been on a good run of form and are looking to get into the European places themselves. Chelsea probably have to win all of their last 3 to put the pressure on Newcastle and Spurs above them, and I have gone for them to win this narrowly by 2-1. Then just the one game on Sunday, and it's a massive one at that. Manchester United hosting Arsenal at Old Trafford. Now, despite Arsenal, of course, having a much better season than United, and the Red Devils suffering with lots of injuries, especially in defence at the moment, Arsenal's record at Old Trafford is absolutely horrific. I think they've won there like 2 or 3 times out of their last 16 visits. So although United have been pretty poor and they're coming off the back of that terrible performance at Selhurst Park against Glasner's Palace that we mentioned earlier, I have gone for them to get something out of this game. I don't think they'll win it, but I've gone for a 2-2 draw. And then the actual final game of this fixture sees Aston Villa hosting Liverpool on Monday night. Of course, Villa crashed out of the Conference League to Marinakis' Olympiacos. Of course, if you don't know who that is, it's the owner of Nottingham Forest. And they, as I say, crashed out of the Conference League pretty convincingly by Olympiacos, who over the 2 legs were the better side. They have got an extra day's rest this week, playing on Monday, but I have gone for Liverpool to win it by 3-1. Villa have suffered a few times after the European games, and after being knocked out, it looks as if they're going to secure 4th spot, so they don't really have a huge amount to play for other than a bit of pride towards the end of the season. Then we've got a couple of rearranged fixtures to close out game week 37, so a big one on Tuesday as Tottenham host Manchester City. Of course, City going for the title, but they have this atrocious record at Tottenham. They did beat them earlier in the season in the FA Cup, and of course Spurs have been on a pretty torrid run of form, but it is City's toughest game that they have remaining. Despite that, I have still gone for them to win. I think they'll nick it by 2-1. And 2 games on Wednesday that could have big ramifications in the hunt for Europe, as Brighton host Chelsea at the Amex. It's not a ground that we've had a huge amount of luck at over the last couple of seasons, and although Brighton's season has sort of tailed off, they are much better at home than they are away. I've gone for Chelsea to narrowly win it, just on the sole basis that they have more to play for and they know that they have to win, but I think it will be a really tight game. And at the same time as that Chelsea-Brighton game, there's also a huge clash between Manchester United and Newcastle. Those 3 teams all vying for the European spots. And again, although I think Newcastle are probably a better side than United, they do always seem to find a way, especially at home. So I've gone for them to pick something up in this game with a 1-1 draw. And for my Joker game this week, I've done something that I don't normally like doing, but I've backed the early game. Manchester City away at Fulham on Saturday morning. And the only reason I've gone for it is I didn't really have any other games that stood out to me. We know how good Manchester City are in this run-in towards the end of the season, and Fulham have very, very little to play for. There was a video doing the rounds on Twitter the other day of them flying kites in training during the week, and everyone was sort of joking about it. But I do think City, knowing what's on the line, will win, considering Fulham have very little to play for. So I've gone for that as my Joker this week. This video has been a little bit longer than the previous due to the extra fixtures, so we'll go and quickly have a look at the website and see where we currently stand after game week 36. So still pretty close at the top, and it's me and my dad still in the 1-2 spots. He is currently 4 points ahead of us, and I actually think this fixture 37 with the extra games is going to be vital in terms of who ends up winning come the end of the season. We're currently 4 points behind. If either of us get a 6-point joker, it could be over this week. I did alright in the previous fixture 36, picking up 9 points. There was quite a lot of correct results. I had 8 of the 10 correct, but no correct score. So that is what really wins you the points at this stage of the season. My dad did get one in the Luton-Everton game, which I think was on the Friday night, which just pushed him a further 2 points ahead of us overall. And here is a breakdown. You can see we had pretty similar scores in a lot of those games. It was that Luton-Everton game where I had 2-1, my dad had 1-1. If Everton had scored a second, then obviously that would have been a massive point swing. But as it was, my dad picked up the 3 points, and there weren't many 3-pointers this week due to the fact the scores were pretty crazy. So this is how we stand heading into the penultimate weekend of the season. As I say, I think this one is massive with those extra couple of games, and there could be a massive point swing. So make sure to catch the next episode, game week 38, where we'll see how we got on in 37 and if we can close the gap and potentially even head top of the predictions table. I'll catch you for the next episode very soon, guys, and peace.